All right, I think we're live. Awesome. Perfect. So, yeah, what's up, beautiful people? Danny here, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I went from a 400 credit score to 760 in 90 days using these beauty strategies without having to waste time on unpredictable results, okay? If you're new to my world and this sounds crazy to you and you are skeptical, you are cynical, I totally get it. And my job here in this video was not to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to prove anything. I simply want to share what's working for me and for clients and students in hopes that you get some insights that you can implement in your own credit profile, right? And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a really simple invitation that if you want my help or our community's help to partner with you to implement some of these things alongside you, then you can take advantage of that. And if not, I'm really hoping that this is just helpful training where you can get some perspective, some principles, some strategies that you can implement into your own credit. Okay, so let's just do the cleanup right away. So who this is for, who this is not for. And firstly, this is not for you if you're unwilling to learn from others, right? You are welcome to stay, but this is not designed to you or for you or whatever it is. So number two, you are inclined to cut corners and avoid work, even if it sacrifices your future goals, relationships, and health. Totally appreciate you, but you probably won't find this training very helpful. Now, here's who this is for. First, this is for you if you are a professional and need to clean up your credit reports to qualify for your first mortgage, second mortgage, new car loan. You cannot find a job because of your credit, right? This is for you, right? So next, this is for you if you're an entrepreneur needing better credit and secure those business loans, right? As an entrepreneur myself, I know sometimes that's one of those things that I run alongside with. So your credit is very important, right? Now, obviously, I'm going to share here everything that I'm doing to help clients and students get to 850 in their credit scores, but this is really for you if you are recovering from financial setbacks and have bankruptcies, debt collections, medical debt, charge-offs, late payments, child support, right? This is for you. And also, this is for you if you have been a victim of identity thefts. That happens quite a bit, and if that affected your credit scores, okay? If any of these that I've spoken about right now, it's you, then you are going to find a lot of value in this. Lastly, this is for people who are focused on real world results for themselves, not just with amazing promises, but delivering on those promises, right? I'm not just talking about rainbows, unicorns, fluff. I'm talking about changing lives here, okay? So people that are excited about work, benefits, and changes that you get by having a tier 1 credit score, this is definitely your biggest fit. This is you're just gonna get a whole lot out of this, okay? So let me introduce you a little bit to my world, how I got into this place, so I can walk you through why am I in the way that I am, why things are the way that I am, why I know the way that I know, and I'm gonna walk you through steps on and I really hope that this is really helpful for you, okay? So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a 32-year-old. I'm living in Miami now, but I grew up in Colombia. For a bit, I traveled quite into Europe and the Americas, and the reason for that is because I used to be a professional soccer player back in the day. This is me like signing autographs and pictures and newspaper stuff and stuff. But yeah, okay, they're old days, right? So yeah, I used to be a professional soccer player, and after facing personal challenges with credit and finances, I made it my life's mission to explain the credit and financial system to others. Yeah, this is kind of like me into like one of the courses that I gave and stuff like that. So don't mind the glasses, they're blue light glasses. So all right, so I have multiple years of dedicated service into the credit industry. I bring a wealth of experience and deep understanding of the financial hurdles that individuals and entrepreneurs face today. How? Well, because I went from being into the center of the spotlight of the sporting world a decade ago to making a lot of bad decisions, taking me to not having a solid place to call home, nothing to eat, nothing to sleep in, and you know, he was back in the 2010s, so that was not fun. And I remember that moment being such a low moment and such an image in my mind that it's just been ingrained into today, right? And it was actually until like 2020 I made a drastic change in my life. And it was a year that attracted so many crazy things in the world, but for me it was the beginning of such an amazing journey. That year I met a very incredible human. Shout out to Bruce if you ever watched this. That he introduced me to the world of credit by working with him for one of the biggest credit repair outsourcing companies in the United States. where I got to learn about credit, teach people about credit, coach credit repair company owners about credit. I gave presentations, you name it, right? So all of this into how a 3-digit number can make the difference between not having that home base I faced in the past to having the life of your dreams, right? Homes, cars, travels, money, and so much more. So that knowledge changed my life, and that is the knowledge that I want to share with you in this video today. So yeah, I wanted to share a bit of the story of how I got here in hopes that maybe you might relate to some of my journey. And ever since now I developed this new era coaching / credit model, I'm only going to focus on a few key pieces here, right? Because there's a lot to it, but basically this is the model that will get you to tier 1 credit scores, which is 720 plus. Okay, so the first piece of understanding your credit reports, this is an often ignored but very important piece of the credit mastery equation. It's important to understand the different sections of a credit report and what information they contain. Okay, a typical credit report includes personal information, credit accounts, loans, credit cards, credit inquiries, public records, and a list of disputes, if any. Right, so here's a summary. Sorry about that. There's a summary where it kind of talks a little bit of the things that you have. Right, inside of a credit report, you have open accounts, you have closed accounts, delinquent accounts, derogatory accounts, balances that you have, payments, public records, inquiries, right? So a little bit of how everything that I just told you guys about. Okay, so now if you do not know how to get a copy of your credit reports by any chance or by any means, so you can you're entitled to a free credit report every 12 months from each of the 3 major credit bureaus, which are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You can always create a free account with them and they will give you a free credit report. But you can also go into annualcreditreport.com. I have it right here for you guys. There you'll be able to get a 3 credit bureau report from there, and you'll be able to have access to it. Okay. Also, if you were denied to current credit, employment, or insurance based on your credit reports, you are also entitled to a free copy of your reports within 60 days of the notice. Right. So here's what you're going to do once you have a copy of the reports. First, you want to read your personal information. You want to confirm that your name, address, social security number, and employment information is correct. These are the things you're going to look into variations of your name, if they're outdated or incorrect addresses, any inaccuracies in your employment history. You want to check your inquiries. Like usually the hard inquiries are the ones that do show up inside of your credit report, not so much as soft pulls and stuff like that. But if you have hard inquiries, they should only appear if you have applied for a line of credit, and you need to ensure that you have the one that have been authorized or that you authorized for that inquiry to be there for you. Okay. Now, if you really want to inspect your credit reports, you're going to have a section where it's going to talk about public records, collections, and all those accounts. These sections, like public records, for example, it's the one that includes bankruptcies, foreclosures, lawsuits, judgments. So you want to make sure that the information that you have there is correct. Okay. Same principle goes for collections. And yeah, that's kind of how you want to play along, and that's the information that you can find in your credit reports. Also, this is definitely something that you can get for free if you go into, like how I mentioned, into one of the accounts with the credit bureaus or the annualcreditreport.com. Okay. Now, next thing, whenever you have your credit reports, I'm going to teach you a little bit of how to audit your accounts as well. So you want to ensure that all the credit accounts listed belong to you and are reported accurately. You want to verify the status of their accounts are open, are closed, for example, the balance of each accounts are correct. So you want to start looking into any type of inaccuracies in your payment history, such as late payments that you believe were made on time, for example. Right, so here's an example of a little bit of the information that you'll find in one of the accounts. Let me move myself from here. Right, so you'll be able to see all the information inside of the credit report, the date of last activity inside of the account, the date opened, when the last date that it was reported, the balances that you owe, right? If the account is still open, the credit limit for the accounts, this is your payment history, right? So here's a little example for the information that you'll find whenever you go to any specific account that you have in your reports. Okay, so all right, so next, you want to dispute credit report errors, right? So now that you have gone over the first 2 steps and you have found information that does not match or seems inaccurate, here's what you need to do. You want to send a dispute letter, okay? I'm gonna try to leave some templates here in the description below. If not, you feel free to message me and I'll be able to get those to you as well, okay? So what you want to do, you want to send a dispute letter mail your dispute letter directly to the credit bureaus that are reporting the inaccurate information, right? Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. This can be done either by regular mail, but you can consider sending the letters via certified mail and ensure that those are received as well. I have done this in the past. It works for some of the customers. It depends on how the customer is or the student is who implement this strategy, and you can definitely think about it as well. Okay, kind of gives you like that little receipt and confirmation that they received, and it kind of forces them to do the better investigation as well. Okay, so once all of this is done, right, you already figured out the information, you already figured out what the where to get the report, how to look at the information, and what you should be looking for inside of the information, and you send out the disputes. The next thing, and one of the most important parts about kind of like going into your credit, it's improving your credit habits, right? Because if we could fix your entire credit report, but if your credit habits don't change, you're just gonna go back to the same place. And the whole goal of this is for you to be able to just continue moving forward, right? For example, you want to pay your bills on time, you want to reduce your debt, you want to keep your old accounts open. Okay, why these things, right? Because paying your bills, kind of like your payment history, is a significant factor into your entire credit scores. Okay, so set reminders, set automated payments to ensure that you always make payments on time. Everything starts just with a late payment and forgetting, and then it just escalates into a bankruptcy. Okay, so you want to make sure also that you want to reduce your debt, right? Why? Because credit utilization, it's 30% of your entire credit score. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're able to control and understand the balances of credit cards. For example, if you have a credit card that is about $1,000 and it's a credit limit, you don't want to spend, for me, sweet spot is between 10 to 20%. I know a lot of people talk about 30% and stuff like that, and that's usually what you hear over, but 10 to 20% seems to be like the sweet spot for me. The closer to 10 that you can be, the better. So if the credit card is about $1,000, you want to make sure that you carry between $100 to $200 from month to month, and that will not affect your credit scores, right? So understanding your debt and how to maneuver it, it's going to be a huge piece of everything. Okay, how I mentioned, keeping all the accounts open, just talks about the length of your credit reports, right? How long have you been dealing with credit? This is a part of the formula as well. And it's very important that you understand that keeping those old accounts, even if it's just for like using them once every month or two or something like that for gas or getting gum at the gas station or buying something on Walmart, super simple, it will be very beneficial because that keeps longevity and it shows that you have been dealing with credit for quite a bit of time. Okay, so now I want to actually walk you through how I got to a 760 credit score, because this is why you're here, sir, right? So let's talk about this. The first pieces are very straightforward, making sure that everything that is in the reports actually is yours, right? For example, if we were to, if you go back to the credit report that I showed you a little bit, some of the information, you're gonna be able to check for your social security number, all the measures that you need, right? I talk about names, last names, account numbers, when were they open, and things like that, right? So the meat of everything comes when you reach to the account. The law tells you that everything inside of the credit reports has to be 100% accurate, 100% verifiable, and 100% timely. If that is not the case, then the information cannot be inside of your credit reports. Okay, and that's why the dispute process is so important. And sending the right dispute strategy is very important as well. Right? So we're going to be looking into let's go back. So if you go back into the image, right, you're gonna go back into that account. You're gonna be looking for all the extra information, right? Account open, account closed, balances. Is this accurate? Is this not? So we're going to be looking to every single thing, every single detail, how I just showed you, to make sure that we find those errors and we get us to start removing those erroneous information from the reports, right? Because by law, if it's not accurate, it cannot be inside of your credit reports. Okay, so now, taking out negative and erroneous information from your reports will be a huge step into getting to that tier 1 credit profile that we want. But getting to that is not just a matter of removing negative and inaccurate information. For most important part is the credit building process alongside the removal of the negative information, right? Bruce, my mentor, always talks something really important, which was, think of it as if you were driving a car. All the negative things inside of your credit report are the foot are on the brake, and then the gas pedal are positive information, right? So let's say we're just stationary, right? We are on D, and let's say we remove all the negative information. You're not hitting the brake anymore, but if you don't hit the gas, you're not going anywhere, right? So that's why the proper build-up strategy for when it comes to building credit will be very beneficial, because that's going to be the major boost that you're going to get. Okay, so this is really what I'm passionate about, as you can tell. So this is the part that gives people the flexibility that the financial freedom gets and that they seek: the house, the cars, the travels, the points. It all comes from this. Okay. So meanwhile, we're sending dispute letters to the credit bureaus. We want to start building our positive credit profile. Why? Because 30% of your entire credit score is your payment history. 30% of your credit score is your credit utilization, 15% are the type of credits that you have in your reports, and 10% is the time that you have been dealing with credit, and lastly, 10% are the credit inquiries. Okay, so if you want to start rebuilding, first you want to start with secured credit cards or a secured loan. I usually like Self for this, which is pretty awesome. And the reason that you want to go with that first, it's because the chances that you're getting approved for them are extremely high, and honestly, unless you have defaulted from a secured credit building option in the past, you won't get denied. Okay, sometimes even if that has been the case, there are all the awesome programs that will accept you even if you have been defaulting in the past, just because they're really trying to help you rebuild your credit. Okay, so I actually advise on adding 2 accounts maximum the first month or so, just because age of credit is part of your formula as well. So we do not want to add too many new things at a time, right? Because that could affect your percentages. And then an account can take between 30 to 60 days to report and get fully seasoned for you. So that's why you kind of want to start moving things in there. So let's start with 1 or 2, depending on how comfortable you are, how finances are. Secure credit options are awesome, and you're going to really, really love them. How I mentioned, Self is a really, really great one that I like to use. Okay, now let's keep moving. So because of the types of the account that the accounts take to report, it's just a big power thing for those first 90 days. Because remember, when we send a dispute letter, the bureaus have, by law, 30 to 35 days, sometimes even 45, depending on what's happening in the government and the economy and stuff like that. But on average, 30 to 35 days for them to reply or perform a proper investigation regarding your disputes. So we're not going to cross our fingers meanwhile that's happening, because we can use that time to start building credit, right? So let's say we send out our first round of dispute letters where we really want to add a secured credit card and a secured loan, and then once, let's say, if round 1 comes in, it deletes some of the inaccurate information, the regulatory collections charges from there, and then the 1 or 2 credit lines of credit show up in the next 30 to 60 days. We're talking about removing negative stuff and adding also new positive things. The change in your credit score is going to be tremendous, and that's kind of like the principle of how you're able to fix your credit within those 90 days, right? So next step, once you get to this point, okay, is that you want to start climbing up into the credit card ladder, right? So depending on whether you have open credit cards inside of your credit reports, your next step will be to add either a regular credit card like the Discover It or the Chase Unlimited Freedom, for example. If you already have one of those credit cards, like the ones I mentioned right now, like for example, if I go here into the little image that I added here for you guys, right? So it's kind of like a little bit of a ladder. So we start with like a secure credit card, which there will be like around here. And then you go into like this Discover A or Chase Unlimited Freedom. You can get into Capital One Quicksilver or like the Chase Freedom, for example, that right now is really good. And then you can start moving into like the reward system cards, like Capital One Venture, American Expresses, and all of the ones are the ones that everybody wants, right? So yeah, so if you already have some of these credit cards already in there, what you want to do is focus on the credit utilization on those credit cards. If you have balances there, you want to bring those down, and you want to make sure that at that point everything is going back into that 10-20%, and then from there, that's going to first help you boost your credit scores as well, and then meanwhile, those credit utilization goes down. The other 2 lines of credit are already coming in. Deletions are happening with the dispute process. Now everything is happening to making everything for you. Okay, so yeah, focus on that. All right. So if you're able to get to this point, right? If you followed everything up to this point, now you've at least gotten a boost in your credit score between 60 to 100 points. It's that crazy. Okay, so meanwhile, the credit building is happening. You do not want to neglect the dispute process, because the disputes could be effective right away for some accounts, but sometimes it doesn't happen right away. And you want to continue the pressure on the bureaus and the creditors, the lenders, to fix the errors that you have found. Okay, so next thing in the building tier for credit, it's when things get real fun and real good, which is when we start talking about reward cards. Okay, like the cashback or points. and here's where life really begins to change. Okay, this is definitely a lot more to it, but that probably will be another video. Now that I think about it, I can probably just do like a whole video about how like the credit card ladder can be, how to reward points, even though there's a lot of them, but I guess I can just put that one out there. Okay, so rewards, travels, and the point system is really fun, and I know you want to get there. So if you haven't watched any of that at all, just keep an eye for it, and I'll put a video out there for you. Okay, so let's quickly walk through this, right? So you might be wondering yourself, does it really work for other people? Does it really work, right? Like this entire process? And the answer is yes, it works in several different cases and scenarios. And let me just walk you through a couple of these right now. Okay, let me see if I can find some. So here are examples of people that throughout the process, throughout the disputes that we have done, and throughout that have gotten accounts deleted. They have boosted their credit score. So for example, this is somebody that in the first round got 8 accounts repaired, which is student loans for what I can see. Somebody that got 60 accounts deleted from the credit reports, and now they have like 700 credit scores right there. And then here's another case. This is Mike. It's one of my greatest, one of my really cool students. He came in with, he needed a new car, right, for the story that he was telling me, and we were able to get that within the 2 months mark, which was awesome. His car was already old, he's on sales, and he liked to like visit his employees, not employees, but visit his customers, and he needed a car for transitioning. And yeah, we were able to get that. That's kind of like him. Michael, if you ever see this picture, what's up, buddy? But yeah, this is him. Really awesome. There's somebody else that we were able to get to their first home, right, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, here are some other reviews. Mario is a really great partner of ours that in the end he went from I believe he was around the 500 credit score mark, and we were able to get them into the 800s in the 90 days, which was pretty absolutely awesome. Jesus, he was one, he just came into the country, so he started building from scratch. Kevin. So yeah, we have a lot of examples for that. And obviously myself, more than anything, I went from being into that point. I probably should find a picture and show you, but I have fixed my credit, right, to the point where I can travel for free with my wife, my dog. I own a business that thrives in helping people, so I could be sharing client success stories for days. We have testimonial videos, screenshots, but my point here is not to convince you of anything. If you still need convincing, I can send you some resources shortly. But for you, if you want to keep watching this video and you have been intrigued by my journey in the model, when you might think that something like this will work for you, I would love to invite you to send me a DM, right? And you can test drive this, like, you know, closing with a sales call type of thing right now. If you want to find out more about what I would like to how it would be to like or work with me or work with our community to get a tier 1 760 plus credit score, I will invite you to find me on Instagram. There will also be a link below this video, so you can just DM me the word either inner pro, or you can word that you can also do 760, but I think inner pro will be the one that you're looking for. And maybe, actually, now that I say about it, the word is module. Okay, so you can text the word either inner pro or model, and you'll be able to have a conversation with me and after watching this video. All right, so yeah, send me a message that you finish this video. We can go from there if you already spoke to me in the past or something like that. So no, there's zero pressure, right? So I don't attract clients that desperately need of me, like they are in scarcity or feel like they must work with me to make these things work. You're a smart person, you're capable of more than you know, but if you want to work with someone who can help you go further faster, I'd love to invite you to reach out to find out more information. And if you're not ready yet, then I thought it's totally cool. Follow along with me and the journey on Instagram and YouTube, and I would love to help you in any way that I can. All right, so I'm hoping this has been helpful. I will link to some helpful videos that if you want to find out more, you can just dive in. And getting into deeper trainings where I can go deeper on advanced dispute strategies or traveling the world for free, things like that. If you can go ahead and check those out. But for those of you who you know that you want to find out more about what it would look like to either enter this community or work importantly building this tier 1 credit module, that will change your life for financially free and achieve your life dreams, I want to invite you to send me a DM now. And for everyone else, I look forward to seeing you again soon. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching. And I'll talk to you guys soon.